Is that thing on yet?
Yes, she said.
Yeah, there we go. I just turned on. Okay. You about ready to go? Okay. We have 6:30 here and 6:30 there. Call to order Lebanon City Council meeting for September 23rd, 2024. Roll call.
Bennett,
Here.
Branch here, Davis,
Here.
Farrell,
Here.
Stevenson,
Here.
Trinka,
Here.
Washington. Absent, Whitty.
Here.
Hey. Please stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there a motion to approve the omnibus agenda? Yes.
Okay, there's a correction to the council minutes. On page 2, it had the wrong. It had a dump truck as 2006 and it was supposed to be the International Street Sweeper is what we. And the Ford
Okay,
dump truck.
is there a motion to approve the omnibus agenda with that correction to the minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the
Thank you. I'm sitting over here. I can't move.
Okay.
It's seconded by Ben.
Okay,
And roll.
Branch,
Yeah.
Davis,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Stevenson. Trinka,
Yes.
Whitty,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes, sir.
Okay, audience participation. If you're going to speak, please come up to the railing, state your name, and you have 5 minutes. I've got the timer.
My name is Nellie Beckwith. I've been here since July, trying to get the correction there to my entrance to my driveway as well as my driveway. Dr. Farrell called me Wednesday. He wanted to come check the driveway out. So he checked the driveway out. I'm here to let him explain to you what he found.
Can't say anything, sorry.
You can't say, you can't speak.
Not at this time, we don't speak.
Okay, well, I can tell you one thing, since he can't speak, I can speak for him. He drove his car up in my driveway, and when he came out, it was bumpy bumps. I put him in my car, drove him up, and my warning lights came on. Now, they tell me Jeff Abel told me that Luann was the one that saying I was gonna get a steel plate, it was never gonna be repaired. It's gonna be repaired one way or the other. Because you are not gonna hire contractor, have my driveway where I can't drive my automobile that I've been driving for 4 years into the same driveway. Not all the warning lights come on when I'm trying to drive up and down. That's insane.
Thank you.
And other reason too, the city department here, they don't even know how to measure. Correct. It's either A or B. Jeff Abel saying A or B, the gutter drain. I don't have A or B. I have something that they made up. It may be CD, but it's not A, B. It's only 2 gutter drains that can go in on my street, A or B. I have neither. And Cody came out there one day gonna take some measurements. You can't measure from one side to the other. Cause then you don't get the depth. So I don't know where he took geometry from, but he didn't take it from the high school where I taught it in.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, good evening. My name is Mike Borquez.
How do you spell that last name?
That's B as in Bravo, Orquez. Sure, you have
Thank you.
families of that name around here. I happen to live in O'Fallon, Illinois. And I've been an unsolicited lobbyist for the Metro East for the last 3 or 4 years. I represent the St. Louis Arts Chamber. And we are currently working on a number of different projects in St. Louis. I'll mention just a couple. I'm going to be very brief this evening. I won't go over the 5 minutes. But what we're doing is we have been discussing whether we should be a regional organization or simply focused on the city of St. Louis. We have decided that we want to be a regional organization, which includes the Metro East. And so therefore, what we are doing is approaching each city council and saying, hey, we are working on some major projects. We have inroads with multiple people who are willing to make grants. We're currently working on Delmar Avenue, where we've put in meridians, flowers, etc. We're working on a not widening, actually reducing the size of Tucker Boulevard in St. Louis. So we're doing a lot of street improvements. We're creating a median in that center street. And this will be offer the citizens of St. Louis the ability to have farmers markets, etc. We're also doing another major project called Marquette Park. Marquette Park is approximately 18 to 20 acres. It is in the area of Dutchtown, and it's really a very old park. My understanding is it goes back to prior to 1900. It has always been known for having this massive swimming pools, and at one point in time, it did have massive swimming pools. Okay, and I'm talking about massive, nearly maybe a half a block large. Well, unfortunately, that the city at one point in time, my understanding is that back to about 1920, they decided to improve the park. So they had somebody come in, they said, we want to improve the park for the whole area and give the citizens of this area really a nice park. Unfortunately, the people that they contracted with came in, poured dirt on top of the swimming pool, this massive swimming pool, and we have nothing but flooding in that area. So anytime it rains, maybe even a couple of inches, it floods the entire area. So we're working on flooding, we're working on street enhancements, street striping. We're actually building a amphitheater and making improvements to all the buildings on that particular park. Which leads me back to the cities in the Metro East. So what we're saying is we have projects moving along. We're asking each city, do you have any projects that you wish to bring to your city to enhance your city, enhance the region? Yes, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay, and what we're looking for is anybody who has a project in the works, and I'd like to work with that individual to perhaps offer a grant through one of our grantors, and hopefully beautify the city and give you some pride in the city also. So I have left my contact information with Luann, okay? And I just want to thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening. I haven't any authority. I'm just here as a messenger. And I'm just an old Marine that happens to know how to take orders. So if you got something going, bring me in, let's talk about it, and let's see if we can't get you some funding. Thank you very much.
And the council members may have questions for you during our part of the meeting. So if you, just be a few minutes if you have one, stick around.
Is there any way that I could, actually have an appointment and, come back and speak with, whether it be roads or whoever's going to be making decisions on that? Or is that just the entire council?
It's a combination of the entire council. We get advice from our streets department. We have one of our employees, two of our employees who do some of the grant writing.
Mhm.
We have various individuals, so,
Okay,
but they may have questions for you right now in a few minutes if you just have
Okay.
to see.
Yeah.
It'll be about 5 minutes.
And this group meets every Monday night, either a council meeting or a committee meeting.
So you're welcome to come back just any Monday.
okay.
Okay, next, Jennifer.
Good evening, my name is Jennifer Trainee and I am president of Horner Park Boosters. And I'm here because we are hosting an event out at Horner, we're hosting a chili cook-off and car show out at Horner Park on Saturday. And I am up here because we're trying to come up with a possible weather contingency plan. So I'm here as this would be kind of a last ditch effort for us. Like if we are unable to host a car show or chili cook-off out there because the grounds have received 6 inches of rain leading up to probably Thursday evening, Friday morning, we're looking for a contingency plan where if Saturday calls for good weather, it would be no rain, where cars would come out for our car show, if we could possibly host it on Brook Street here. We would move, because we have 17 cooks already signed up. We know we could only have 9 entries, 9 possible electric sites down at the east end down here. But we didn't know, this is like a last ditch effort. If we would have to do this, we would make the decision by like Thursday at like noon to see if this would even be an option to move here, or if you guys would even make it an option for us. Because Brick Street would need to close by like 8 a.m. and it would open back up around 2:30. Our event is scheduled to go from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That was the time out at the park. And we would keep it during that time frame because I think that's how long you would need in order to adequately host an event like that. So we have event insurance. We're covered that way. I don't know. I know some of our people have talked, I kind of just got briefed on this at like 6:05 this evening. So, I know some people have talked with Cody today. We didn't know if we would have to go to this plan, if there would be options, if we would have some of the chili cook-off people in the parking lot out here. And I don't know if there's access to electric to this building or anything. We have some people with generators, if you guys would allow the small generators that are quiet, because that's the thing is, this event here, we provided the electric, because out at the park with Christmas lights and that, we're able to, kind of in a way. It was more juggling this year because we have 17 entries. In the past, we've only had 12. We pulled it off fine, but this year they added the car show to it, so it kind of threw, it's a double-edged sword in a way, good and bad in a way, so. But that's the reason I'm here. I don't know, I'll stick around if you guys have questions during meeting. It's not a perfect game plan, but like, this is basically kind of our last ditch effort. If there's, it's totally so wet, we can't have it out here, but they're still calling for a good weather on Saturday. We'd potentially have it here, so then people would bring out their cars. And because the bad thing, the person who's kind of hosting the car show, it's like 9 of her friends are part of the chili, contest of it too. And we're afraid we have no car show if those people would come, still participate in the event. That's where we're trying to, come up with a game plan there. So that's really all I have at this point.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'll talk to everybody in a minute about what they're planning. Anybody else? Okay, this is alderperson comments. I'm gonna take privilege of handling this particular item first. The mayor and I have been talking because on Friday, my term as pro tem ends, and this event is on Saturday when the mayor is back in town. So I wanted to make sure we knew what was happening. We discussed and we believe that we can do this by executive order. Do an executive order and outlining all the conditions that have to be met so that it can take place. So if this is what has to happen, then if you're able to make the decision on Wednesday, then on Thursday, I can write the executive order and sign it, and that will give you permission to move forward with it. I'm looking for feedback from the council to make sure that you're in agreement, because I have the authority right now, but I wanna make sure.
I say it's good. We do need to reach out to the businesses that are.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to check with the business, that's one of the conditions, you'll have to check with the businesses, you'll have to provide certain assurances. You'll be responsible to put up the barricades for the street, you'll be responsible for a lot of things. The whole list of things that we do with everybody, that will be in an executive order.
Right.
You need to elect McAllister Park is not an alternative.
That's
No,
just
they
one.
have nothing.
They have to say there's no electricity.
There is
There's a
electricity
little bit,
there,
but not much.
there's one box.
Yeah.
in the park.
And believe me, if that's too wet out there, that's gonna be way too wet.
Well, you're right about that.
Okay.
Or is-
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna talk with Mr. Mike.
Okay, yeah, now we're at alderperson comments, we'll continue that.
Oh, okay. I thought you
Go
said
ahead.
that, I thought you said that,
No, I just
you would
want
do an
to,
executive order to give them permission, but you would check. So I thought we was finished with that.
I think we are finished.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying, this is alderperson
Oh,
time,
okay.
but
Well-
go ahead.
With him, and I know that he, explained what he was doing, and I know that we have a few projects that we consider, so his time wouldn't go to waste. And that we do know we have two people that work on grants, as they said, and if we can allow Michelle and Stephanie to talk to him to see what they have going on and what might be beneficial to us, and then they can bring it back to us. But that way he'll have somebody to talk to.
That's something that's fine with me this week, after this week. I'm a mayor pro tem, temporary mayor for the week.
So what the council think about that?
Well, even with, you being pro temp, I don't think it should be a problem.
No, it shouldn't be a problem, because under the pro tem process, whatever the pro tem does is acting in the place of the mayor. And when the mayor comes back, the mayor 99.9% of the time doesn't change anything pro tem does.
Right, so
Because
I
then why would
think,
anybody want to be pro tem?
I think Michelle and Stephanie should be allowed to
To talk to-
speak with
Sure.
him.
I think that's fine.
And work out something with him.
Yeah, I'll come in and talk to them. Well,
We got a development committee then,
yeah, there's a development committee that'll be talking to
and
me.
we kind of sit and talk about stuff, so.
That's a
makes
staff
sense.
development committee. It's a staff development, it's a staff.
That's Michelle and Stephanie and myself and the mayor. When things come into the city hall, we kind of get it moving and get it to the right people.
So you vet it before it comes to the council. You do some vetting before you spend staff time on the item.
Yeah, I talked with him today and told him to come tonight and to talk to you. And see if you couldn't make the one meeting. I said, maybe come to a committee meeting and,
I think the
I think-
date you gave me, I already have it
yeah, you
filled.
already had somebody, so. I said, at least come tonight and, try to talk to
But
everybody.
Michelle and Stephanie are here during the day. Monday.
I'd have no problem coming during the day to speak with them, tell them exactly what we're doing, what we would need. You know, we need a cost analysis, we need the vision of what you're going to be doing. Actually, it's very, very straightforward.
We had a grant that did a plan for us, so we've even applied for a $3 million grant already for that, and we're waiting on a response on that. But if that doesn't work, we'll be looking at whatever we can, and we have other projects we'd like to do. I'll really be talking to you about a project that's not related to the city. It is and it isn't.
Okay,
Not verify.
Simplify, sir.
Okay, anybody, thank you very much.
Okay.
And if anybody else has anything,
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
yeah, Gary Christ, wanted to let everybody know that the new sign at the cemetery has been completed. There is one little medallion, that the earliest we can find anybody was buried there was 1804. So this little medallion will say circa 1804. I get 19 and 18 mixed up.
Okay, thank you.
And in addition to that, she said that she has driven by at night and she think it would be very nice to have a light on it. And she was asking everybody if they would drive by and see if that was the indication. She has an electrician that would do the job. Bobby here said he would not, he would still charge us for the electrical review. So it's a thing. Just take a look and let us know at the next meeting whether you think there may be an advantage to putting a light on the cemetery sign.
It could be a solar light.
It could be that particular.
It'll have to be really mounted so it doesn't walk away. It can't be just stuck into the ground.
We talked about that.
Yeah. All right. Any other older person
Yeah,
comments?
yeah, George. I was gonna ask everyone if they've been down to see the new East Hardware sign down there, because I don't think it's the monstrosity that everybody was worried about.
Nowhere
I was
near.
thinking about that too.
It looks pretty, you know, it's pretty tastefully done.
It's very nice. It's got ads on it. Their pricing is a little more than we expected, but it's a nice sign. And I think there was a lot of angst here among some people that I knew from the beginning. I thought from the beginning was really not necessary, but it looks nice.
Mr. Milliken said that they're getting a pretty good number of people signing up for the sign.
Oh, yeah, we got Miller Furniture in Belleville on there.
Yeah, so
Try to get some more locals in there.
But remember too, when they presented the sign to us, that he did say he couldn't actually show us what it was gonna look like. Cause what he showed us looked like a billboard. It had no digital coloring in there. And it had a ladder that was from here to there, all the way up to heaven.
Well, it's a
So
little,
don't,
yeah, that
don't
24
get it
feet,
twisted now.
that 24 feet is a little shorter than people have. But this right here is 12. Okay,
But
anybody
it
else?
is nice.
Anybody else? All the person comment. Okay, we'll move on to the agenda. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Streets and alleys.
Victor.
We don't have anything tonight. We will meet, October 7th, 2024, 6:30 for our next meeting.
Finance.
We'll meet October the 14th, 6:30.
Okay, ordinance. What will we do on 14?
Whatever you email me that you wanna put on there, and we can talk about it, cause it's just a committee meeting. I think,
Would that be a budget program?
whatever you wanna talk about for us, finances, that's what we do, we'll put it on there and we'll discuss it. But that's why I say we meet October the 14th, so whatever things you might wanna discuss, that's the time to discuss it when it comes to that finance,
All right,
okay?
that covers the,
Anything that covers finance.
Yeah, make sure it's submitted to
Yeah.
Yolanda or me by
by
Wednesday,
Yeah, or you
or
could, yeah,
Wednesday sometime.
by before 2 o'clock,
and one item you say on.
whatever you wanna put on the agenda under finance.
Okay, one item that will need to be settled by the end of November are elected official compensation for beginning fiscal year 26, which is beginning May 1st of 25. We have to have that done. No ifs, ands, or buts.
You have to have what?
The compensation package for elected officials. That has to be done. Pardon?
What date?
We must have it by 180 days before the consolidated election, which is on April the 1st. So that makes it about November the 1st. So by the end of October, we must have it at. By the second council meeting in October, it has to be passed as an ordinance. So you're all aware of that. And Yolanda, when you present that, can you give us the bottom line for the current and,
can do that.
and the projected salaries? So we know what the total cost is and what the difference is between the total cost. We can look at individuals.
Mhm,
And that also includes the appointed city treasurer.
mhm.
Thank you. Ordinance, I've got a meeting for October 7th at 6:30 PM. I will finally have those items that we're going to delete from ordinances because they're no longer supported by statute. I have 3 items for tonight. The first one is to present and have approval for an ordinance declaring personal property of the city of Lebanon surplus and authorizing its sale, traded, and or disposal. Specifically, a 1997 GMC C750 All-Tech bucket truck. This needs a motion.
We'll make the motion to surplus that.
I'll second. Discussion?
Didn't we talk about that at our last meeting?
Yeah, we did talk about it at the committee meeting.
Yeah.
But now we can take action on it. Now we have to take action on it. And the ordinance is ready to go.
Yeah.
Was there any discussion? I'll call the question. Go ahead and do roll call.
Davis,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Stevenson, Trinka,
Yes.
Washington,
Yeah.
Whitty,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Branch.
Yeah.
Okay, item 2. This was already approved by the council in August. The personnel manual. There have been no changes, edits, or anything to that manual since it was approved in August. I know there were some no votes. I'm taking privilege as chair. I know there were some no votes. And do we really want to open this up for discussion again?
Why not?
For corrections, we can discuss it. But what I would like is to move on to item 3. So we have a motion is to present and approve an ordinance approving and adopting the revised personnel policy for the city of Lebanon. When we passed this in August, we only approved the manual. We did not approve its adoption into our policy. So I need a motion to do this.
But,
Don't we want to make the
but
corrections first?
the correction.
We will, we could do that as a discussion item. It's part of the
Good.
discussion.
Well, when you approve an ordinance, that means it's already set in stone. Am I
Right.
correct?
Right.
So why would we do 3 before 2? And then not only that,
Well, then we can do 2 and discuss it.
ain't no reason I
Make
said
the
it.
corrections.
Is because that's why it was lingering the first time, and the only reason why some of us said no was because we didn't have the paperwork to read it, and today we have to read it, and I've been going through it, the first 17 pages. And I think on that, on that ordinance, it was something about it in the beginning of it. I don't know if it's the wording, but it sounded like a little cookie.
Which copy
cutter
do you
to me.
have? There is no ordinance in this.
No, I know that.
It's separate.
I know
There
that.
was in
I'm
the
reading it on my
2000
phone in the email.
Yeah, the one that you received from Luann is the one, the one you received from Luann is not correct.
The ordinance I got from Luann not correct?
The one that was sent out first.
Didn't you send one out?
I sent one out after that. It was an error. What happened is Luann took the 2019 ordinance and manual, thought she corrected the ordinance, sent the whole thing out. The problem is behind that ordinance was the old manual.
Yes, that's why I sent out, I said
Well, I
disregard.
look at the old manual. I'm looking at the new manual that's
Yes.
on my desk.
Okay,
Yes.
But I'm looking at the ordinance that was emailed to me.
oh, the ordinance, we aren't there yet. That's item 3.
But that's the one you said to.
We aren't to the ordinance.
And then you said to vote on it, so I had to read it twice
The
before
one-
I came here.
The one part that I had questions with is that that one part on,
So hold on, are we doing 2?
Yeah,
We're discussing
Okay,
the
let's,
manual.
let's stay
Only
on two,
discuss
we'll
the
do a
manual.
discussion, and then we'll move to three. There we go.
Right,
Okay.
thank you.
okay, I believe it's on page, the last page before the appendix part. Pay raises.
What number page?
We'll work on
No, I can't find it. It's the
Page-
one that you talked about, the raises, the cost of living raises were still in there.
That would be on page 20.
1920, yes. Annual pay raises, annual pay increases will be tied to the prior year's social security administration cost of living rate and rounded up to the next whole number. That was what caused so much problems this last year.
Really?
Yeah, because one year it could be as much as 27%, but the cost of living went up to 26.5, you gotta give it 27%. And I thought you guys didn't want that, I thought you guys wanted to decide your own percent that you wanted to give, that it wasn't gonna be automatic.
But that was only on, like, I wanna say the salary that the city pays. Is that what you're talking about? Only on the salary that the city pays a person?
It is on the salary that is paid to non-union
Yes.
personnel.
And non-union
Only
personnel?
non-union, doesn't include any elected people.
I know
only
that.
Non-union
My
personnel,
question is, the non-union people or the people that are employed by,
the city, there are
The
two
city.
of them.
okay, that's what I thought.
So
There are two
you,
of them.
Uh-huh,
There is a third one because the collector
I know.
is in a gray area, but the collector
Yeah.
can be handled separately.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's all it involves, and it gives us a baseline and an annual thing. The city council at any time can do a different thing. They can do something different. They can go in and say, we want to,
What does it say in it now currently?
says the annual pay increases will be tied to the prior year's social security administrative cost of the living rate and rounded up to the next whole number. Example, SSA rate of 2.9 would be 3. We had, that we had to do all that correction already because we had ones that were, 2.1 and they get a 3, or a 3.1, they get a 4. And your union people, you guys negotiate them, and like this year you gave them what, a 3%? I
Well, there's
think,
a collective bargaining.
That's a
agreement
collective
that's been
bargaining
in
agreement.
effect For years, and that gets set for as long as the
Right.
period of time.
yes,
That's totally
but
different.
this. That's what I'm saying, but they usually give the same increases to the superintendents. And that's how they used to do it, but with this in here, you don't get to do that. You might give your employees a 3% and cost of living might be 7, so. 2 people in your staff gets a 7% raise and everybody else got a 3.
I don't see the problem with that.
I don't need
No.
it.
I don't see the problem with
What's the problem?
Okay.
Doesn't all have to be equal.
Nope. That's what you were trying to give.
In some years it'll be less. What it was is that there were several years that the city council ignored that.
Yeah, we understand that, George.
That's why
I'm
there was a-
saying every
that's why there was a
year
problem.
you set the rate for the union. And then you're automatically having to follow a directive from the federal government, what to pay instead of you guys deciding what to pay the other 2
But the
people.
union contract is done 4 or 5 years in advance.
I know that, George.
I think to simplify this issue, you have 2 choices. You can either A, omit this, strike this, and as a result, then the city council year over year would make decisions as to what kind of compensation you want to give your 2 superintendents as far as raises, or B, leave this in, and this will determine those raises automatically, but we need to make sure that we remember to compute that correctly and to in fact give that. So that's completely a policy decision, totally what the council wants to do. You can leave this alone, and then every year we look at the CPI and we adjust accordingly. Or we strike this and then we make a decision annually. It's up to you guys.
I think we should leave it alone and look at it annually like we should have been doing before we got here. It just wasn't
Well,
looked
then
at.
that would be to strike this.
No.
No, I mean, leave it, honey, leave it alone.
Like it is.
But then you said every year we can,
You can't.
you can't once you do that. You either strike this and then we can do whatever we want. The city council
That's the
can
problem.
do
No,
whatever they want.
what he was saying was pay attention to it. That's what he was saying. Right? Ain't that-
Right.
And then you said that a manual is basically like a living liquid.
It's a living document.
Okay, so
Do whatever you're doing.
what you all say?
I see one problem with that.
Say
It's
it.
the same thing that we ran into. The
Mhm,
reason we paid all that back pay and we paid that
mhm,
is this goes, nobody thinks about it for a year, or if the council turns over, there's new people coming in. This is, nobody is current on this, because it took us a long time to get up to speed on this.
mhm.
So they forget about it and they said it anyway, and then they're gonna fall into the same crap we're in now. Or
Well,
we
I-
ran into this
This
year.
is my first year sitting on the council, and I thought that that was like that because somebody wasn't doing their job and they ignored it and didn't pay the people when they should have got paid.
Basically, yes.
That's what and I'm just saying, cause this is my first year
There
on
wasn't-
council.
They
That
didn't
was
ignore
something that
it.
was
They
neglected.
didn't know it was there.
Well, everybody on their job get a raise every now and then, and that's something that should be looked at.
And I
and
think
to
there
me,
should
it
be
was-
something in here for compensation for the non-union personnel in the manual. But it should be merit as performance or merit based on merit and productivity versus COLA, and the government telling us this is what the cost of living is. I still think we should look at the cost of living, but I don't think we should act solely on the cost of living.
Gotcha.
We can put in here very simply that the annual pay raises will be determined by the city council annually.
Okay, well, we need to put that in.
Why don't you put that in and let's vote on it, or whatever.
I
we
need a
got to do.
motion to change the manual to put that in.
I'll make that motion to change the manual. Go ahead, Dennis, you go ahead.
No, I mean, I was gonna make some comment prior to the motion.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion to put that language
Well,
in.
Dale said he has something to say.
Go ahead.
He will, there's still a discussion after the motion.
Can I have that motion?
The motion is that annual pay increases will be determined by the city council annually. That's all it's saying.
That section
Yeah.
18
Dash one.
annual pay raises,
Mhm.
subsection 18.1
Mhm.
shall be amended to state that annual pay increases for non-union employees shall be determined annually by the city council.
Thank you. I didn't have, while I'm talking, it's hard to think sometimes. Okay, then we'll do the discussion after we have the motion, I'll second on the motion.
Who motioned that?
That was,
Me.
Davis.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Dale?
Yes. Ever since the first manual came out, it seems like it was 6 months ago, which was, in my estimation, a totally bogus personnel policy initially. We passed this thing. I have looked at it and seen, I may be wrong, but I think I have probably gone through every page of this manual 4 or 5 times, not reading it, word for word, but seeing things that I had seen. I have not done the same thing here. And I would seriously question the number of people on this council who have read this policy word for word and agree with everything totally. Already there are 2 items that, we've disagreed with, not disagreed, we've decided to change it. And I may well vote for it, but I haven't read this last one as much as and possibly other people. And I would question, whether everybody knows what is being said in this policy.
May I comment on it, Mr. Trinka? I would encourage us to do this exact thing. If we find something in this manual that we disagree with, or we have some questions about, if it's 2 weeks from now, if it's 2 months from now, we can always put it back on the agenda and have a motion to amend the personnel manual to make a change. I think this is exactly what this group should do going forward when they find something that they think should be switched. This is a perfect example of that. I also thought that this had been changed, and I guess it had not been pulled out. So I'm glad that Luann caught it, and now everybody's talking about it, and it sounds like that's the way that you guys want to go. Again, you're the council. This is your personnel manual. You make the policy and the employees follow it. So if changes need to be made, let's get really good at this process. It is a living document. I know that's been said 100 times, but it really is. It moves, it changes with the times.
All I'm saying is that we've already talked about 2 places and then we talked about changing it. How many more places, since everybody, I'm sure, has read this and thoroughly understands it?
Well, that's what Mike just said, is if you find those places, bring it back to a future meeting and we'll discuss it at that point. If it's something we need to make a change, then we'll make a change. But right now, there is no personnel policy for the city of Lebanon. The one that we have is from 2018. It is missing some key items that are required by law that we should have in there. That is the importance of getting something on the books.
And those statutes that we need are in the first 17 pages.
Right, they're in the first 17 pages. That's where they are, the first 19 pages, something like that. That's where they are. All those things are in the first 19 pages. The harassment policy, a few other small things are in those first 19 pages. And that's what has to be done. So,
When you say, can I say something?
go ahead.
When you say that we do not have no personnel policy at all,
We
that,
have,
I get what you're saying. You say what the last one was and how long ago it was. And when you say we do not have one as of this day, you're saying to go by. You're saying that if an employee feels that something is happening to them, what I'm hearing is that whether it's sexual harassment or whatever, what I'm hearing is that we do not have anything for an employee to stand on because this policy is not in effect, basically.
No.
It's non-void.
that's not true.
There
Okay,
is a
that's what I
problem.
know.
Let me jump in right now. Yes, there is
I
an
know it
employment
will.
policy. It does exist.
Okay,
It's just old and out of date and needs a refresher.
revised.
So we're okay. It's not like we're flying.
Okay, got it.
We have something in
So
place.
so my next question will be, because we've been waiting this long, can you give us, because the next meeting will be a committee meeting. The next meeting after that will be a council meeting where you vote and pass. So all hearts will be clear because we have finally got something that we can go read the first 17 pages, so we don't have to keep coming back doing this. Can you allow us to go read this first 17 pages again on sexual harassment and whatever else? And so we can vote on it or what?
Did
Mr.
you
Mayor?
read the first?
I
20 pages?
just got it.
Excuse me, did you read the first 20 pages of the last version that was emailed in August?
Yes, I
Well,
got
then you
2
read it.
copies. I
Then
got
you
2
read it.
copies.
Then you read it.
Okay, but then.
But some of it wasn't correct.
It was all corrected.
But that's the only question I have. I got 2 copies of the manual that I've been reading, and today when I came in, I had this on my desk, so this made me feel like this is the finished first 17 pages that needed to be correct, that I can go back home with and look at it with the other 2 that I have. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's all I just want to
get
get an
what you're saying.
understanding.
I get what you're saying.
That's it.
There were minimal, a word here, a word there, changed in this first 19 pages, plus the addition of the harassment policy. And you have been talking about that, and it has been on the books, it has been there for you to read for 4 months.
And Mr. George,
And all
3 weeks
this-
ago, I asked you to send us the corrections in what
We-
page.
Yeah,
I never saw that. So we could have went through that and saw that, and we could have came here and voted on this, and this would have been settled, cause just like you sick and tired of talking about it. I'm sick and tired of talking about it, and I'm sure everybody else sick and tired of talking about it, cause we've been talking about it too
right
long.
now, the only thing that's out there to be discussed is a change on the salary increases, and I would like to have the vote, please.
On the what?
The salary.
It's a motion to change how the salary.
We have a motion.
To do what?
There is a motion on the floor.
Change,
Change the.
to change the section 18.1 annual pay raise increase for non-union employees shall be decided by the council.
Second,
And this is not for the whole policy, it's just for this particular part of it.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
You're going beyond the discussion. May I do a roll call, please?
Okay. Let's start with Farrell,
Yes.
Stevenson,
yeah,
Trinka,
Yes,
Washington,
No.
Whitty,
Yes.
Bennett,
yes.
Branch.
Sustain.
You can.
No.
Dave.
What you talking about? Y'all don't.
Okay.
The motion passes. Moving on to item 3. I would like to present for approval an ordinance approving and adopting a revised personnel policy for the city of Lebanon. This requires a vote and a motion.
Make a motion.
For a second,
And this would include the amendment that we just discussed.
does it include the change we just made?
Just that amendment, correct?
Right. It's a second
For the manual.
for the manual. You second it? Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. Approve and adopt the revised manual. I have to open this up now for discussion again.
And discussed enough.
for months I have been against accepting it because I found a number of items in there that I disapproved of, and I talked about them at the meeting here.
Today?
I said in the past
Oh, okay.
months, not recently.
Okay,
In fact, last month, in other words, I succumbed to the weight of the council. And I was one of the few people that had voted no. And I had, by having to approve it, somebody who said no in the past had to make the motion, which I did. Because I was interested in making sure that we had the harassment policy particular to be in there. And their harassment policy
it's
is
in
in
this manual.
with this last thing right here, this is the whole personnel policy, including the harassment. So I said, I have not read this completely, and I'm guessing maybe I'm the only one that has not read the policy completely. And I have hesitation to vote.
The first 20 pages is the policy. Page 21, 70, whatever, are attachments to the policy. They are not the policy. The first 20 pages are the policy. The first 20 pages have been written this way for 3 months. With some minor editorial corrections, and that's it. A comma here, a word there. It took out the city administrator. That's all gone. It took out references to Chicago. That was actually in the back section, but that's all gone. It took out all of that stuff. It is the basic policy for personnel in the city of Lebanon. It is not a major change. There are no major changes in this except for the addition of the harassment policy that was in there 3 months ago.
George,
We're reading.
so what you're saying is the changes that you made, we should just take your word for it and vote on it.
No, because you should have read it. They were already there.
Please,
Okay, go ahead.
and not read it for ourselves to see that what you said is correct.
Do you know?
I read the whole thing last time, remember?
Yes, I know. Do you know what it was in those first 20 pages that you didn't like?
Not right offhand, I don't.
Well, then, why? If you read it again, you're gonna
It'll come
find
to
it's
me.
it's fixed. There's
It'll come
nothing
to
wrong.
me. If I read it again and I see the same thing, it's gonna come to me.
What's the same thing?
No.
Yeah, but you know, that's what you're trying to do is craft it, and then if it's, aldermen think it needs to be changed, it can be made, it can be changed.
Yeah,
Why cut, why throw this thing away when there's only one or two things that need to be changed? It doesn't make sense. You know, I'm I wasn't here back in January or anything, but I mean, you know, we've been screwing with this thing for what? 6, 7 months, and don't you think it's about time we make a decision and stick with it?
If everybody knows the contents word for
If you don't like something, bring it back in 2 weeks and we correct it.
That's what we just asked you to do.
But we
You
can
said-
vote on it tonight
But you
because
can
it
vote
would
on
be
it
very,
right.
we
That
can
was
vote
the-
on it tonight. You made the corrections. All we're asking, we have the manual in front of us. It was a sexual harassment policy. If a couple of little lines been changed or whatever been added, why you
Nothing
just
was
can't tell us what been added? So we
Nothing
go
was
to-
changed in the harassment policy. Nothing was changed in that.
I just know that you said that we needed to have it because we had something pending to
We
whatever.
did, but
So
we
it-
don't want anything pending
I
without a
know.
policy.
But we can vote on this right now.
We can vote on it right now.
Just
and
go
come
and
back.
tell us what's in there so we can feel comfortable voting. We wanna vote. You ain't.
We can vote on it right now, and you can come back in 2 weeks and say, hey, I found this in there, we need to correct it. That's what I'm saying. Let's get it on the books.
George, I want to say until today, there were so many iterations of this thing floating around on the internet and everything, until everybody got the same thing in front of them. I think we all had questions about what the heck was going on.
Right.
And part of it was, you said it was too expensive to print them out and give to each of the aldermen, plus the clerk and the mayor. So we kind of defray the cost. I bought a little bit of the paper and stuff. I bought you the paper, and if you let me know what the ink costs, I pay for that too, since it is, but I'm glad this is out here, because the other was kind of driving me nuts. If you have so many things out there that were floating around it.
Okay, the first thing everybody needs to do is anything that does not have the date September 23rd, 2024, any paper
Throw
you
away.
have, I want you can, if it's in your desk, give it to me, put it on the table, and I'll get rid of it, because you shouldn't have a previous edition. It's getting everybody's confused.
Why are you copying?
That's for me, Ms. Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
That's for me.
And like I say, I think Luann or whoever printed this out, that with this being the most recent iteration, when there was stuff, instead of all that other stuff, extraneous,
Is all the what?
all that extraneous stuff that's out there from before, the ones floating around on email and everything else. Some people would print them out, and the corrections would be there. Some people would.
I think George sent the
I did
one
not.
electronically.
I sent one electronically to you this weekend, which is this one. It's the same one that you just got
Yeah.
in print.
Okay, well, that's good. But if I wasn't gonna do that, I'd rather have this in front of me, so I know I've got the same thing
Well,
everybody else
The
has.
difference between this,
I made sure that the right date was.
the
on it.
online copy, is you can search the online copy. You don't have to read the whole thing to find a keyword. You can search it. Plus, in the online copy, the table of contents is indexed. You click on that item in the table of contents, takes you right to it. You don't have to search through it. That's the difference with the online copy. You can do it either way, but I am asking that this be passed, and if you have problems, we come back in 2 weeks, fix the problems then. Right now, we need to get something on the books before something happens.
I got a motion and a second.
There's a motion and a second.
Is this on the ordinance?
There's a second by Bennett.
Yeah, it's a little,
Is this the ordinance?
just the ordinance.
This is the ordinance that puts it in place.
I do have one, and it's not a major question. I'm not trying to throw a wrinkle in. Why do we need the ordinance? If we already passed the manual. I'm sorry, but I don't
I
get,
know, we already passed this manual. We passed this very manual.
We know that,
August.
we know the manual.
I'm just trying to understand.
About the ordinance now.
So-
and
I don't know why we didn't have an ordinance to approve the manual. An ordinance is something that will sort of solidify this as something that we keep. It's a document. It formalizes this in a way that we need to have. So basically all we're doing, if everybody believes that this has already been passed, then it sounds like the only change we made tonight was the amendment.
Mhm.
So the ordinance is just formalizing it as the formal policy.
and does the ordinance then make it harder to amend the?
Not at
No,
all.
no,
Okay, because the ordinance would be amended when we amended the.
we would do the ordinance that makes.
I would do an ordinance to amend the personnel policy and we would lay out the amendment and it would literally be like what we just did here tonight orally.
Thank you, I'm hoping
Same
that,
deal.
that helps clear stuff up.
Yeah,
So I understand, and
it's,
I think
it's,
there's a
it's
lot
the
of
same
questions there
process as like when we amend the
that need to
code.
be-
It's the same process as when we do anything that has to do with.
I don't want to make it harder to amend the book when we need to amend it.
It's as easy to amend the book as our voting your ordinance in place right now.
So it's 6 months.
It could be 2 weeks. It could be in 2 weeks. I know it's been 6 months since it was handed to me and I realized that this is a bunch of crap. We need to do it from the beginning and we did it. All right, let's do what we gotta do.
Ready to
Call
roll
the
call?
question, do a roll call.
Okay, this is the vote on the ordinance.
Ordinance to adopt the personnel manual as amended tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Stevenson,
Yeah.
Trinka,
Yes,
Washington,
No.
Whitty,
Yes,
Bennett,
Yes.
Branch.
I'm back in.
Oh. I'm just gonna say no for now.
Yes,
Davis,
yes.
Farrell.
Yes,
Okay, Pat.
passes. Thank you. Now we can move on. Okay. Water and sewer, anything? Active committees, water and sewer committee, that was the last thing for ordinance.
Exactly.
We had, water main break on, Perryman. And folks came out and they fixed it, just like you would think,
Thank you.
and they did it post-haste.
And your next meeting is?
cemetery.
No, water and sewer, your next meeting is what?
October the 14th.
All right, thank you. Cemetery,
We will have a discussion and hopefully a decision on whether we want to light the new sign in the cemetery. Everybody go out and look at it tonight as you leave, so you can make an informed decision.
thank you. Health and safety.
The next meeting is October the 14th at 6:30.
All right, thank you very much. Public property,
nothing tonight. We meet October 7th at 6:30.
personnel,
6:30. We have one thing, that's a discussion that is needed about the required harassment training. Training for all employees per the Workplace Transparency Act. That's 820 ILCS 96. And which is conducted. we'll discuss that.
Who is the person authorized to do that?
Well, that's what we don't, this is something that is in this manual that we just adopted and put in the ordinance. And every employee in the city is required to go through harassment training annually. Now, there will be a cost to it, no matter how we do it. There are two basic ways it can be done. The Illinois Municipal League, IML, has a video that you can watch. Number one is, we don't know if a person's watched it. We don't know if a person who watched it absorbed any of it, understands it, et cetera, et cetera. Just all we would know is that they watched it. You know, how many of you have watched a TV program or an instructional video or something, and when you were finished watching it, you had no clue what it was about anyway? Or we can do an online training process. There is a company that does it for about, the price I was quoted initially was $18.44 per employee. It is an online thing. The employee does it independently at a computer, so they can be given time during their workday to sit down and go through it. Takes about an hour. As a part of the online training, they will take a test that they must pass, because if they get an answer wrong, they gotta go back until they get it right. They must pass, and then the company provides us a record of which employees have done it and which employees have passed, so we have a record of our employees doing it. They can do it on work time. If they choose to do it at home, they can do it at home, but we're not counting that as work time. They can do it, we're gonna give them the option of doing it at work on our dime, or they can do it at another time if they want to. But every employee must pass it. And if we have them do it at home, that would be their own time.
No, I think they should do it on a work time.
Okay, they can do it sometime work time. If we do it, there is a third option, I'll tell you that in a minute, but this is one thing that we would allow it. So right now, I'm only asking as, on this thing, since I dealt with the manual and all of the ordinance on the harassment, is to give me guidance as to which one you prefer, so I can do the research and come back with options for that one. The third one is to have a sit down with all the employees and one person does a training. We bring somebody in, we pay them a $400 fee, and they do the training, and as soon as we have sufficient turnover in personnel, we have to do it again. We don't turn over a lot of personnel, but it will take time, because that means taking everybody off the street, out of the sewer plant, out of the offices for an hour or so. And finding a place to do it.
That includes council members too, don't it?
Yeah, that includes council members. We have to do it too.
I don't mind on the computer and you get a certificate.
Yeah, I've done it. I had to do it annually at McKendree, and I got a certificate every year.
Yeah.
I also taught it, that helps.
For the government too.
Pardon?
I had to do it every year for the government.
Yeah, we've all had to do it. So we are finally catching up. We should have been doing this for about 4 years. And the city
I
has
know at
not.
one time, I sent it out and people were supposed to do it. I got some back and some didn't come back.
Right, this will be, we use an outside
Got too
company.
much. Clerks got too much time on their,
Right, I
you
know.
know, time involved with everything else than to
Yeah,
be overseeing this.
by using an outside company, it also gives some validity to the process, because they will be reporting to us who did it, who didn't do it. and what
So
the scores
there's,
are.
sounds like there's a variety of things.
There's a variety of things, and there's a variety, if we wanna do the online, then I'll come back and look at the various online things, and I'll share it with everybody, so you can go on yourself and take a look at them, once I compile the list, and we'll come back and have a discussion again, and then we'll make a decision, and we'll move forward with that decision. How's that sound as a plan?
Sounds great.
I like the online, but could you find out, do they all have to do it at the same time?
No, if you're doing online, they can do it individually. That way we're not taking all the
But it
employees
would
off.
have to be like between 8 and 4.
Yes. It would
Yeah,
be
they would have to do
working
it.
out.
Yeah.
Oh,
we working out.
Oh, yeah.
Us too.
I know, I have my certificate, I got
No,
certificate.
we
But you
got.
have to do
we
this.
got to do
Fine,
the
that's
beginning.
fine. Jesus.
Thank you.
But we have
All
to,
about-
we have to move on, so am I hearing the consensus that we do the online version?
Option two, number two.
Online?
We should do that.
I'm doing it in committee, I just wanted a consensus. So I'll bring to the committee in a couple of weeks, a list of online options. That's all I have for that.
Hey, George, is there an actual quiz afterwards?
Yes, it actually, one of them tests you as you go through it.
Oh, okay. Ours does that work.
Yeah.
Ours does.
Mine did the same, it tested me as you go through.
Here's one way.
Moving on, I wanna get out of here too. Clerk,
Okay, I sent out a tentative schedule of all the meetings for next year. Look those over, well, that can happen, but if you wanna change any of your holidays, you know, you can do this. Now's the time to do it when you're, you know, some people think we should have different holidays than what we've got, so. That's you could do that and bring it to committee and have this little manual updated to that, so.
Chief has something about that.
Yeah, I received a couple of text messages asking about the next meeting being October 14th. That's Columbus Day. Are we still meeting on Columbus Day?
Yeah, we don't have that listed as one of our
Okay,
holidays.
I didn't have that.
Yeah.
We're meeting on that day.
I think our holiday should be the same day the school is closed.
Well,
that-
summer?
You guys come up with a thing like that for committee to amend this little manual again and. Okay, and I said present for approval changes in the fee schedule. I've got one that, I'm gonna make off the fee schedule again, but there are things in there that we need to update. I have, for the special use permit, any of the things that go to the plan commission that has to go into the papers. We have $110 on that, and some of the notices are $200. So I'm losing money on it. So, I suggest that we increase that because we've got, say for instance, a special use permit. I can have one that will cost, $10 worth of mail out, and I have some that are like $60 and $70 worth of mail. By the time I write the letter, I do the envelopes, I send them out stamped. It costs money to do all that, so,
Could you show us what the current fees are?
yes, I'm going to do that. I just wanted to, let you guys know that I'm working on changing all that, and Penny might have a couple to change hers. We're always talking about the cap on fees and hers, she's in the same position as I am. Some of her fees are not keeping up with the costs. So we're looking at that, and we're gonna present that probably at the next committee meeting. So you guys can have a printout and look at what it was and what we're asking for. So that's all I got. Penny, you got anything on that?
No.
Okay.
Hey, treasurer. Hey, the mayor will be back on duty on Saturday. And I'll take care of this thing if we need to for Saturday, so that the executive order is made, if there was a need to do one.
Yes.
Okay, department heads, chief.
Yes. Quite a bit to say this evening, so. I'm gonna keep you here for a little bit. Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. Watching my back.
Officer Costa, gonna make sure you don't leave.
Okay. Everything I'm gonna tell you this evening is meant to be both positive and informative.
That's what I'm trying to get across here. So I'm trying to open up lines of communication. It has been mentioned here at city council meetings that we should all be working as a team. I couldn't agree with that anymore. It's the way I lead. That's how I manage. That's the way the city should function, and we would be successful. So I completely agree with that concept. Now, this is just my opinion. And there's a big difference between having an opinion and having facts. And I'll get to that later. The main players on our team is the public we serve. They have a right to question each and every one of us, and frankly, they should. We should have more of it. It's a check and balance system. It's the taxpayers' money we are spending, and we are serving them. I'm sure each and every one of you get calls from citizens about their concerns on various topics. Some come to council meetings, bless you. Some come to council meetings and voice their opinions. Some don't, because they are counting on you to handle their respective concerns. I receive calls from citizens all the time, at all hours of the day and night. And that's okay. And I hope they continue. Some of the issues are related to the police department. Some of them have nothing to do with the police department, but that's okay. I get calls about complaints on officers. I get calls from citizens on issues they deem important, such as maybe they think they have a suspected drug house, or they have traffic problems, speeding problems, those type of things. I also get citizens that call asking for some sort of assistance, not necessarily police assistance, but they are having issues with an elderly family member or a teenager that isn't necessarily criminal, but they're asking for help, and we try to guide them in the right direction. Some call me, I get a lot of calls on this, asking why the police did something or they didn't do something because they read it on Facebook. Okay? Or they heard it from somebody that read it on Facebook. And I get a tremendous amount of calls from citizens about your police department, the officers in the police department that are thanking them for a job well done. I get cards. They take the time actually to send cards thanking the police officers on the good job they did, which is awesome because it's easy for somebody to come in here and complain or call you and complain. And for citizens to do that, it's just heaven here because we have a wonderful community. So, in saying this, without question, and I'll get to this later, the majority of this community supports the police department without question. And I'll back it up 9.5 years in a moment. But I want everybody here and everybody listening that Facebook is not a place to find facts. People post so much stuff on Facebook that is partially true, not true, and sometimes completely fabricated. I really don't know where to even start with that problem, and I don't believe that's even fixable, to be honest with you. But I will tell all of you that I have ordered my officers never to respond to things that are negative about the police department on Facebook, not to get involved with the Facebook warriors. Let them put whatever they're going to put out there. It's irrelevant. As long as you know the truth and the citizens that want to know the truth, the facts, I hope they get a hold of you, or they can call me direct. I think half the town has my number. That's okay. So as an example, if you remember correctly, back in January or February of this year, I came before you guys and I asked you for permission to purchase 2 trucks. And I explained the reason why I wanted to purchase these 2 trucks. And you voted on it, you passed it. Thank you again. Unbeknownst to me, fast forwarding, I do everything I'm supposed to do to get the trucks ordered. It was printed in the paper. And there was a blow up on Facebook about how much money I was spending. So this is a great example. I don't even know this is going on. I got a couple of calls and text messages just before the council meeting. And I come in and somebody who I respect very much, a reporter, comes to me and apologizes to me. And I have no idea why this person's apologizing to me. I made a mistake. There's a misprint about the cost of the trucks because apparently the cost was doubled. I didn't even know there was a fire to put out. So what was printed in the paper was double the cost of what I told you, which was $140 for both of them. $140,000, I'm sorry. I made it really cheap. So it doubled the cost. So people on Facebook were blowing it up about how we were spending all the taxpayers' money and these were ridiculously expensive trucks. And I looked at this person, I said, it's okay. You made a mistake. No big deal, right? It wasn't true. It was a misprint and it was taken care of the following day. But a lot of people just ran with that information, not having the facts. That's a good example. So moving on a little bit on when the police department, and I'm bringing this up because there was something brought up about this, and I'm trying to educate and communicate with everybody here and not here. So when the police department posts something on Facebook, and I can give you, let me back up for a second. I can give you countless examples where things have been posted on Facebook that is absolutely not true. May have this much truth to it and nothing else is true because they don't have all the facts. But what happens is some people believe everything they're reading on Facebook. Okay. I digress for a minute, so I apologize. So when the police department posts something on Facebook, and that's me posting it, when should we do it? Okay. Well, it depends on, is there an immediate need for the public to be aware of it? Do we need the public's assistance? Best example I can give you just occurred. We had a juvenile leave the school. I have to be limited what I can say here, but there was issues. That's all hands on deck. It's on Facebook, throw it out there, get me some help. And everybody started responding. By the grace of God, found the young man, all good, right? Okay, so let me turn it on you a little bit. Do you remember the burglaries I told you about not that long ago? Okay, I started to post that because that occurred. I was sitting here when we were working the case, and I was texting the guys when they were canvassing the area. And I was going to post that on Facebook. I didn't. I made the decision not to do it for a couple of reasons that are operational reasons. And I made the right decision, by the way. But as soon as we had the individuals identified and I was clear on where this investigation was going, I posted it on Facebook. Okay? Do we understand? And at any time, stop me if you got a question, because I want to be very clear tonight. We good? Okay. All right. Now, let's back up 3 weeks. Yolanda asked me a question about speeding. Okay? And maybe that was 4 weeks ago. And I believe I answered the question. And then I went on about various things that I was briefing you on. One would be somebody driving 100 miles an hour on Route 50 at 4, not Belleville. Route 50 at 4. We did arrest him. We towed his car. He was cited. We did everything we should have done. I also told you about We stopped somebody on Belleville. Well, we didn't get them stopped on Belleville, but we stopped them going 70. That was Officer Cox that stopped that individual. Wrote him the citations. Moved on. So it's my understanding last week, somebody came in here and told you the opposite of what I'm telling you. I didn't lie to you. I gave you factual information that I'm giving you once again.
I'm gonna say something, Chief. I think most people misunderstood most people, I think, thought that the 100-mile-an-hour and 70-mile-an-hour were on Belleville Street. I don't think it was clear to them that the 100-mile-an-hour was on Route 4, I think you said down there.
Well, I think I made that very clear, but okay. But I think the problem is, it's been insinuated that the officers didn't write them tickets, didn't do anything. We did everything we were supposed to do, Mr. Whitty. Okay? So I started thinking about it, and I went and somebody also mentioned, a citizen mentioned, that he came here to check the citations that the police department had written. And it was none. Let me make this clear. Our citations don't come to City Hall. Our citations go to St. Clair County. There will be no record of citations. So I want to be further clear on this. So we recently went to something called DigiTicket that I told you all about. Okay? So I ran a scan from September 1st, 23 to September 18th, 24 is when I ran it. And so if anybody out there that is listening or is here wants to know what tickets we have written, that we do write tickets, it was 414. That's significant.
That's good.
So I want to make myself very clear on that. When I come to you not with what I feel, not with what I think, not with what somebody told me. I come to you with facts. Now, you may not like the facts, okay? Sometimes I don't like the facts, but I'm coming to you with the best facts I can provide. And as a police officer or a police chief, that's all we can deal in is facts. Because we have the authority to take somebody's freedom away. And if we aren't right, then we're going to get sued. Am I correct, counselor?
Yes, sir.
Moving on. We have a chain of command in the police department, just like we do with the city. It's the department head's responsibility to keep the mayor informed on events, incidents, or possible problems foreseen, just as an example. And I'm very confident, and I try to stay in my lane as the chief. But I'm very confident Cody and Penny keep the mayor or the mayor pro tem in the loop in anything that they need to know about, just as I do. I speak to the mayor. I'm either getting a smoke signal from her, a text message from her, a call from her. You know, we communicate on a daily basis. And you're a mayor pro tem, I communicate with you, correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Whitty, when you were mayor pro tem, I communicated with you. Would that be accurate? Okay. That's what we are supposed to do as department heads. And we do this. Again, I can only speak for myself here, but again, I talk to the mayor on a regular basis, almost daily. She even asked me to call her while she's on vacation. I'm going to leave her alone on vacation. I'm making a joke. Moving on. Communication, I think, seems to be a huge problem for the city as a whole. I think all of us need to do a better job communicating with each other to let the citizens know what we're doing, what we're not doing, and that type of thing. That would give us effectively, I truly believe it would be serving the community far better. In fact, most all of the arguments or disagreements I've watched here in City Hall during council meetings could probably be avoided if you would just call each other and work out the issues of whatever issue that you're dealing with or topic that you're dealing with. Okay? And here's my point. Some of you call me, some of you really do call me and ask me questions regarding the police department on a semi-regular basis. I enjoy these calls because it tells me, folks, that you are paying attention and you are interested in what your police department is doing. I think that's a good thing. I don't mind being asked questions from anybody, from whether it's you guys, the mayor, citizens, and the public. I don't care. I like that. I want them to be interested in what we are doing. We're all part of the same team. So most of the time, I can answer your questions or your concerns by explaining factually to you what we've done, why we did it, and what we're doing. This means we are communicating and working out problems, or out issues, I should say, before they become a problem. And what I'm driving at is this: make it simple. If a citizen comes to you and you can't answer their question, and it's related to the police department, if they don't have my number, give them my number. I don't care. Call me. Let's talk about it before you think it's an issue. At least give me the benefit of the doubt to answer the problem, if it's even a problem. It may not even be a problem, as examples I've given you here tonight. Am I being clear?
Yep.
Everybody in Scannerland hear me? Okay. All right. So I said I wanted to keep this positive, and I'm gonna cut this a little short. I was gonna go on through several other topics, but I do want to get this in. I said I wanted to keep it positive, and I want this to be informative. I was hired here almost 9.5 years ago. And when I was hired here, the police department was nothing short of a train wreck. And I don't mean that by the personnel working there. I don't mean the officers. I mean budgetary wise. Be honest with you, my first couple of weeks here, I wasn't quite sure I made the right decision. Okay. And I want you to understand that it was the community that came to the aid of the police department. Some of the pillars of this community that are still here, that fully support the police department, and did probably $30,000. Volunteers come over and probably did $30,000 to that police department, because it's my understanding that it was inspected and they were going to close it down. And all this work was done voluntarily, and money's given from citizens of this community. I would challenge you to find another community that you can get that as such a small community as this. I think that's wonderful. And I've told that story to 1,000 times to as many chiefs of police in the state of Illinois and outside of the state. It's something special. So what I want you to understand, this is where I'm cutting it short. We went from there, where the back lot, George, you remember this, was a used car lot, or one could even make an argument, a junkyard. Well, we went from there to where we are today, and I added it up because of decisions we have made, you allowing me to do my job. Putting, as an example, somebody in the DEA task force. And those monies coming in that have to, by federal law, be utilized specifically, solely, and only by the police department. We have saved the community over $500,000 in the last 6 years. Now, what does that mean? That means I have been able to purchase things over $500,000. I've been able to purchase things that this community doesn't have the tax base to support. Thereby, we've been able to get the police department up in the 21st century, all the equipment they need to date, all the training they need to date, and we've been able to do this on a slim budget, not using taxpayer money. I think that's something I'm exceptionally proud of. And a little further good news on this, I can now tell you officially that one of the 2 new trucks that we are going to be getting that I already ordered, I'm going to be able to pay out of the Fed account, the forfeiture account, instead of using taxpayers' money. Everybody hear that out there? So, so in closing, I've talked about communication. I do want more communication with you guys. If you guys have questions, I'm not clairvoyant. I can't read your minds. I make the assumption, and maybe I'm failing at making the assumption, when you don't ask me a question, I just assume you don't have a question for me. Okay, so, but if you do, look, I've got this, call me. We can probably get the issue or the question answered long before we come to a city council meeting. And I don't care when you call me, and I don't care if I'm on vacation. It doesn't matter. Call me. So if we can fix an issue before it becomes a problem, I think we can go a lot farther for the citizens in this community.
So when are you gonna get a K-9 unit, chief?
Well, let me pay for the truck first. So that's all I have. I'm apologize for using your time this evening, but I felt strongly enough that there are some things that needed to be corrected that were incorrect at best. Do you have any questions?
Chief, thank you for getting us all of this information, because we talked about last week about what's going on. It was very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
Robbie, give your number.
Yes, ma'am.
From my email.
I need your number, and plus, we still have the skunk.
Oh, I got you. That's code word. That's code word, everybody. Give me my card. Get it to you, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Next thing I have is streets. Cody.
Mine is short and sweet, get it out pretty quick here. September 30th, DMS will start work on the 100 block of McAllister. For anybody that doesn't know where that's at, it's the first block by Casey's and what used to be Carquest General Store. The water line was completed, so we're moving forward with that. They do not know if they're going to get it all done before cold season, so they have 50 working days is what the IDOT has given them. And TWM will be overseeing this project because it's federal monies. It is mandated that we have someone oversee it that has an engineering degree. So that's what we were doing with TWM. And last but not least here, what I have is, at one point, their old radios from St. Clair County, they were given to police departments, fire departments, because the 800 megahertz system was expensive to get into. Those radios were surplus a while back. I went to Lebanon Fire Department. Lebanon is turning them into the county because they bought new radios at the fire department. I talked to Brian Whitaker. We are going to write a letter. It's going to cost us $0. We're going to get 15 radios for the city of Lebanon so that we can communicate, keyword here, communicate with citywide. So if PD has a tree limb down, they can switch to citywide. All city employees, if they want to carry them in their trucks too, water sewer will have enough that they can be just a radio frequency away, tree limb down, whatever it may be. That way we have open communication. I feel like as a city, we kind of struggle with that a little bit because they gotta call City Hall, track us down, City Hall gotta track us down, and then we have to do the circle. Sometimes we're busy and don't have a phone in our hands. So I think this will make a great stride for the city, so. Everything else is going pretty well. Brian Whitaker also mentioned they're still working on, did not give me a time frame, but we are still getting a tornado siren. Hopefully this year, we'll see what happens. They've run into some bumps as they move along through the county. There's situations where people didn't have poles as well, and we're working on it, so. Bear with us, and hopefully a new tornado siren again so
We don't have
soon.
a tornado.
We have one, we're getting a new one. The county did a study and they're giving all new sirens out at no cost to the taxpayer from the city tax money. I don't know where they get their funding for the county. I'm sure it came from you as well, but we're not paying from Lebanon's standpoint. And at one point, we had to look at getting a pole. I think it was almost 11 or 13,000.
Yeah.
And they had an extra pole sitting over at Belleville's lot, so we worked with the county and they were getting us one for free. So we're still on track for all of that, but bear with us. And then Yolanda, Linda, October 3rd, we're scheduled to put in your 4-way intersections. So it locates for everything.
Stop,
Lebanon folk way in.
I mean, the stop sign.
Yep. Yeah, your intersection, your 4 intersection stop signs, so those would be upgraded, the signs are in, so we got the ordinance, we're good to go, that's all I have.
Hey, thank you, Cody.
It's Lebanon.
Penny, you have anything for water?
We did have the, break as students set up by his house on Perryman, that was taken care of on Friday. And boil order was only for 2 homes, that was lifted, or I guess it was on Thursday, I don't know, but anyway, lifted the following day. We have 2 more weeks of free chlorine residual. And hydro flushing is done, so they should not be getting any reports on that. And then the other thing is the cross connection surveys that have to go out every 2 years are ready to go. The college actually helped with printing on those for me today. And we'll be assembling those and getting some help from Tricia's son to label all of those and get them sent out probably early next week. Hopefully to be returned by the 31st. Our response rate from that has always been very poor. I don't know why that is. It's true with most all communities, but there is a question on there asking once again for the type of service line entering the home. I know people get tired of saying, well, I've already answered that. Well, that may be true, but there also may be changes that have been made. I have to update that every year. So if you have constituents around and they say, I keep getting this paper, why am I getting this? It is important. It's an EPA mandate that we do them every 2 years. So please tell them to fill it out. If they don't understand it, have them call. My number is on there. City Hall's number is on there. So anything more, just have them call.
Anything for water, sewer, anything else? Okay, Fountain's not here. She's not here. Michelle, in the back, she's not here.
Michelle Becker.
Michelle, you have anything? Okay.
Hidden voice. You can answer. for me.
Thank you. Is there any unfinished business?
I got something. I would like to see us consider a 3-way stop sign at Perryman and Belleville. It's heavily traveled, coming up from they've got a lot of items down on Perryman. And it seems like there's just no way to stop the speed on anything. But because they don't pay any attention to it. They go up this little hill and then they gun it to go down. But I'd like to see us put 2 stop signs up along with the one already in Perryman. And that will probably slow them down considerably. Now, the only drawback to that really is probably about 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock every day, because it gets quite a line of cars running down Belleville Street. But
Mr. Stevenson, if I may interrupt. Yeah. Belleville Street, we have no control over. That has center lines. That is a county road. We cannot put stop signs on county roads. You would have to call Norm Etling over at St. Clair County. If you wanted to put stop signs anywhere else, you'd have to start where the oil and chip starts and move into town. I think we've had a couple discussions before. So from Belleville Street, from 50 all the way up until it turns into oil and chip is St. Clair County Road District. I understand what you're getting at. I just don't want you to keep going and then there's nothing we can do for you.
okay. So I go to who?
Norm Etling, I'll give you, I got his number in the back. I'll give it to you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That would have been a new business.
Oh. Well, I got the corner.
Now it's old business. Anybody else on any new business? Okay, that, there being no new business, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Be sure to say voice vote.
Now keep it running.
Okay,
I'll say that.
Okay, so
thank you, Dave.
moved by voice, for voice vote, seconded,
All in favor?
all in favor? Aye.
All opposed?
We're adjourned.
Gee.